Dream on, keep the dream living, let it fly, keep chasing path. Rise on, we are the legend flying up high. Keep on paving our own path, not ever look back. Fight for our own dreams, fight for our future. Now don't stop no matter what. We share and work together as one. We rise as one, the sky is within our reach, and the stars are ever closer. Keep dreaming your dreams, don't stop and don't stop rising. We are as one, the world we will live as one, and the stars are ever closer. Keep dreaming your dreams, rise on and rise on, become the legend. Rise as one. We rise as one. The sky is within our reach, and the stars are ever closer. Keep dreaming your dreams. Don't stop and don't stop rising. We live as one. Keep dreaming your dreams. Keep dreaming your dreams. We'll become the legend. We rise as one, the sky is within our reach, and the stars are ever closer. Keep dreaming your dreams, don't stop and don't stop rising. We are as one, the world we will live as one, and the stars are ever closer. Keep dreaming your dreams, rise on and rise on, become the legend.
PMM
从2年前的第一次的这个 orientation program， 也就是所谓的迎新会，来到了这次的第2届，我们就去了一个更特别的地方。主要承办这个 orientation program 是为了要凝聚所有的全国中央理事及州理事，还有包括开放给会员一起参与，来建立这一个我们所需要的这种默契。透过这个 orientation， 大家可以有更进一步的交流，有资深的刚刚成为理事的这一种经验的传承跟交流是非常非常重要的。我们都知道，我们的一届理事里面有2年的这一个会期这个term，所以这2年里面我们需要承办很多的活动。那在这个过程里面，我们最需要的就是默契、共识，还有那个凝聚力。所以我相信这样的一个 program 一定能够为青创会献上最大的意义。除此之外呢 ，orientation 可以帮助我们通过这样的一个平台，介绍青创会的过去、现在跟未来，让所有的理事们、所有的会员们都能够更进一步的知道青创会的整个历史。这样我相信是非常非常重要的。
I grew from PUMM. I love PUMM very now. I hope my destination will fulfill that. How you grow a business, you will have a very big networking in this big family. 我觉得青创会是一个平台，一个给大家、给马来西亚企业家成长和学习的平台。记得青创会只有一个 ，We only have one family, one PUMM. OK， 全部人都是一条心跟着总会。
这一次我们的 PMM orientation 我很开心，因为我第一次见到我们来自我们7个州，除了沙巴他们不能够来参与的话，其他的州属都有派他们的 committee 都来参与。这一次我们就来到一个很特别的地方，在我们这个整个 program 里面，我们就一起走进这个大自然的世界，暂时就放下我们手上的工作，然后疏解你我身上的压力，然后我们体验一下自然的生态，我们也呼吸新鲜的空气，享受温泉的乐趣，享受我们在急流漂流的那个刺激，也在这个漂流里面，让我们的士气还有我们整个团队都凝聚在一起。到最后，我们选择了去一个出名的泰国餐厅里面去聚餐，这是我们最大的卖点。
entrepreneurs nationwide coming together, sitting together and sharing the knowledge， 这个是非常的有意义，又很好玩的一个活动。我们是学到的东西就是正能量。
This is a program that you get up close and personal with the leadership， 是一个很好的一个大家庭的一个聚会。
我觉得 PUMM 是一个很理想、很好的平台。
好，大家继续加油！
Hello there, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Very good evening. 大家晚上好。我是华人哥。எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். என் பேரு Waran. Apa khabar kawan-kawan semua? Nama saya Waran ya. Everyone, my name is Waran Shanmugam. I will be your moderator for today. Who am I? I am the PUMM Negeri Sembilan Treasurer. I'm also the founder of SAT Academy in Negeri Sembilan. Today you are here live, and I'm saying again, FB live under the PUMM Negeri Sembilan Journey of Transformation Show. It's a fantastic event, beautiful session with loads of speakers coming by to share with you a lot of good stuff. But today, this evening, we have got two handsome hunks, I would say, yeah, two handsome ones who will be sharing with you something very interesting. Legal is something very new for some. If you are in the business, you can talk about it, you can think about it, you know the stuff. But if you are just a layman, you know just a little bit. We have got professionals here who is going to show to us and share with us what are your legal rights. It's called the business in law. This is interesting, yeah? Business in law is about knowing your legal rights as a leading entrepreneur. This is what PUMM is trying to give you now, whereby we are going to share with you a lot of information so that this will be helpful for you in everyday life, and whenever you need help, you know what to do. Now, a little bit of shout out, yeah? Before I continue, I want to have some love. Can you show me love? Can you please type in the word love or put a heart shape or press the love button so that I have some love from all of y'all. Can y'all do that? Come on, guys. Yes, keep that love coming. All right, that's the way. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, we have got loads of people here, yeah, today. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the love. Okay, so I want to give shout out to a few people here. I think our national president is here, Tan Le Seong. Thank you so much, sir, for always joining any FB live that PUMM does. It's so nice to see your support. Your encouragement is very important for us. Also, shout out to our Negeri Sembilan chairman, Nelson Bay. Nelson Bay, thank you so much for joining in, and the team here. You have got the whole team at the background working for this live event. So thank you so much for being here. Not forgetting PUMM chairman and friends from all states. Thank you so much, guys. What you all are doing here is very important for us. All your support is very important. So thanks for tuning in. Today we have got two very fine gentlemen. We have got a guest speaker who will be talking about PUMM, and then we will have a sharing speaker who will be talking about the legal matters, the business in law. So let me speak to you about this first gentleman. He is Dato Teh. Can we have Dato Teh on screen, please? Hi there, Dato. Yeah, you're mute.
Hi everyone. Hi Warren. How are you?
I'm very good, Dato. How are you doing, Dato?
I'm good. How's things in Negeri Sembilan?
Oh, Negeri Sembilan is fantastic. Yeah. If it is MCO, people will be fearful, but in Negeri Sembilan, people are still enjoying life. So yeah, we are enjoying MCO here, Dato. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking. I hope it's the same there.
It's the cases are a bit high here, but we are keeping well here.
Yeah, so let's stay safe, wear masks, and keep ourselves sanitized. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those who are watching us live, if you think that this gentleman here is very handsome, just type there, handsome, Swiker, handsome. Come on, type there. Yes, yes, yes. While you are typing that, let me introduce to you who is this. This is Dato Dr. Teh Yong. Yeah, he is the senior partner of Teh Kim Teh, Salina Co. And very important to PUMM, he is the PUMM Vice President, National Vice President. So he's a big lead here. Yeah. Now I was talking about PUMM many times. What is PUMM? Of course, PUMM means Persatuan Usahawan Maju Malaysia. But to know more about PUMM, the best person would be Dato Teh. Dato, are you ready to share with us what PUMM means and what we do?
Yes, most definitely.
Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Warren, and good evening to everybody who's on in front of the screen now. It's a pleasure to see everybody in front of the screen. My name is Teh. I am the National Vice President for PUMM. So today I have two capacities of sharing here. First, as the guest speaker, and the other capacity is I'm also promoting PUMM in the meantime, because in the capacity as the National Vice President. Now, PUMM in the full name is Persatuan Usahawan Maju Malaysia. All right, it is an NGO established in Malaysia in 1993, and we are about 28 years old now. So we have a long history since 1993 until now. It is a national level association where we have state chairman. We have this PUMM in different states. For example, all the way from Penang, we have it, and in Perak and Pahang, and we have in Negeri Sembilan. I think today's host in Negeri Sembilan, we have Johor, and we even have our state in Sabah. So this association is led by our very able national president, Mr. Tan Lay Siong, who is also on the line at this moment, and he is assisted by a very good leader, Deputy President Nelson Bay. Right, so it is a national level association, and we have a lot of states throughout Malaysia. So what do we do? It is a platform. It is a platform to provide to the entrepreneurs, especially if you look at the situation now during COVID situation. It is a platform to share our knowledge, to share our experiences, to share the wisdom, and also create new business opportunities among the business industry. So you will see that this PUM is very unique in such a way that it is across several industries. Yeah. So it is not limited to one specific industry. For example, I'm a lawyer. So in PUMM, I find there are lawyers who are the members, but also we have other professions, in banking industry, in training, in logistics, in F&B, and property developers, and in trading services, and all kind of industry under one platform. So it is a huge platform. We have about more than 2,400 members at this moment, and this will create a big platform to encourage these entrepreneurs to come together. So one of the main objectives is to encourage joint ventures among the entrepreneurs, and also to share important things is resources, something that is very important today in today's business world, to share the resources. In the meantime, PUMM also is established to encourage strategic alliances and network among these entrepreneurs, because today, in today's business world, we can't just do business alone. We can't just do, like, for example, become Lone Ranger, but we have to group together and become bigger and bigger. So this in effect, it would contribute directly to the development of the this business towards Malaysian's economy. So this is all about a little bit about PUMM. So if you like to know more about who are we and what do we do, what are our activities, you can always check our Facebook and the Facebook currently you're watching, right? So back to today's topic, which is business in law. Know your legal rights as leading entrepreneurs. So today it is a very important topic that is close to my heart as well, because I practice as a lawyer. But having said that, we have a very good speaker right after me who will be sharing. Dato Ma is a very, very accomplished personality in legal fraternity, I have to say. He's ex-president of the Malaysian Bar. He is also the ex-president of the Law Asia. And he has a long list of credentials, which Warren will introduce him later. He is someone whom I respect a lot. So I shall give a little bit about the topic today. I leave most of the time for Dato Ma to share his view. Yeah. So for the discussion today, I'd like to share three things. The first is that during this COVID pandemic, that we enter in this MCO since March 18, year 2020. It's about 10 months now, and we are still under the MCO 2.0 now. So the government has actually enacted a piece of law, a piece of legislation called the COVID, in short, it's called the COVID Act, but the long name is actually called as the Temporary Measures for Reducing the Impact of Coronavirus Disease Act 2020. So for the entrepreneurs, I think I encourage everybody to actually go through and to understand the scope of this act itself, whether it is applicable to your industry, whether you can actually seek certain relief or certain remedies under this act itself. Yeah. So in this act itself, the scope covers the different angles. For example, contractual obligations. It covers a limitation. It covers insolvency, hire purchase, consumer protection, industrial relation, private employment agencies, and also the court systems. Right. So it is an act that came into force in 23rd of October, year 2020. And I think as entrepreneurs, is something that we should understand about it. And the second thing I'd like to share is that as entrepreneurs, during this pandemic, I think it is important to have a clear understanding about several things. Number one, on the labor law. Okay, why is it very important? Because once our country went into lockdown last year in March, so one of the first questions that people were asking is whether do we still have to pay salary? So whether can they take unpaid leave? The question of retrenchment, the question of compensation. So I think a little bit of basic understanding about the labor law is really important at this moment. Besides that, I think as entrepreneur, it is important to look at the contractual obligations. So contracts law also come into play during this pandemic time. When you sign an agreement, make sure there's a clause that we call it the force majeure clause inside. Basically, it is a clause to actually let one party freeze one party's obligation during this period of time where it is unexpected event. For example, MCO happened, so your obligation, your duty to fulfill the contractual relationship will temporarily freeze for a little while. So this is a force majeure clause. So look into that. Besides that, I think you should also look at the issue of tenancy agreement if you are renting the premises for the purpose of running a business, and also on the loan repayment, whether your loan is under moratorium or any hire purchase that you are enjoying at this moment. So do we need to continue doing the repayment or not? So I think these are the few big areas of legal area that you should actually have a basic understanding while going through this MCO 2.0. And the third thing I'd like to share, which is the last thing I'm going to share today, is on the platform and networking. So while we are going through this tough time together, I think it is important to stand together and to join a platform, for example, PUMM, so that you have your networking and you also have peers to actually share your knowledge. So, and as entrepreneurs, sometimes people say that it is the most lonely journey because you do not know who to talk to actually. So because you are the highest in the company, and you know it's sometimes you do not know whether the decisions that you make is right or wrong. So having a platform, joining a platform and association, you can seek opinion, exchange views with your fellow entrepreneurs. In the meantime, you can also learn from the experiences from other people. And more importantly, I think in this tough time, you are able to support and also share resources during this tough time. So these are a few of the things I'd like to share today on the COVID law, on the several important aspects of law in the business, and also the platform, the importance of joining a platform and networking. Right. So with that, I'll pass the floor back to you, Iswaran.
Thank you so much, Dato. Thank you so much. That is amazing. Yeah, can you see that? That is PUMM. If you know what is if you don't know what is PUMM, then you should log into our Facebook. We have got lots of information there. We do a lot of good things. It is for entrepreneurs. If you are a very small business owner or a large business owner, we don't care. The moment you come in, we will share experiences so that you will be good, we will be good. You will be happy, we will be happy. That is PUMM. And to talk about a little bit on what Dr. Teh was talking about just now, it's interesting, yeah? To have one lawyer is a deal, yeah? To have two lawyers, it's definitely a great deal, yeah? So COVID Act 2020 is what he shared about. As an entrepreneur, we need to know this, but how many of us know this? This is very important, but a lot of people still do not know. And I'm sure we have got a lot of other things that Dato' Ma will come in to share. I like the third point that Dato' Teh was talking about, how sharing and networking is important. Remember guys, previous sessions under PUMM Negeri Sembilan, I spoke under the mental health about sharing information, sharing knowledge, sharing skills. This is very important during this pandemic arena, I call it. Why? Because it is a major thing now. Everybody is very busy doing a lot of things, but it becomes very difficult if you're all alone. Share your knowledge, share your skills, whatever that you know. I have got a lot of people sending links on free trainings on digital marketing, free trainings on this talk, that talk. Just share with everyone, because you will never know which one will suit you, which one will be helpful for you. So thank you so much once again, Dato' Dr. Teh. It's a pleasure to have you sharing with us about PUMM and a little bit about legal. Now, the moment of truth, we have got the man himself, yeah? Can we have Dato' Ma Weng Kwai on screen, please? Hello, hello. A big round of applause, yeah? Dato', how are you doing, Dato'?
I'm fine, thank you, Warren. Doing very well.
You are stunning as ever. So everyone, when I had Dato' Dr. Teh, I said, type in handsome. Now we have got Dato' Ma. You know what to do. Type in handsome, handsome. Come on, guys. Handsome kali dua, yeah? Handsome too. Come on. Yes, yes, keep that coming. Dato' Ma, look at that, Dato'. There are so many of them typing handsome there. Thank you so much. While you are typing handsome, let me speak to you a little bit about Dato' Ma. Dato' Ma, everybody knows a little bit about Dato' Ma. He is a person who do not stop working. He always wants to work. He always wants to contribute. He always shares his knowledge without looking at the time, without knowing who you are. He will be there for you. Look at this. Today is Sunday evening. He should be sitting down watching CNN and you know what, but he is here just for us. That means a lot, Dato'. Thank you so much for your time. Dato' Ma, a little bit about him. He is a retired Court of Appeal judge. So he's the judge, yeah, Your Honor. And also he's the commissioner for both SUHAKAM and MAVCOM, yeah. And he also does legal consultancy. His legal firm would be Ma Weng Kwai and Associates. So I will be able to talk about him a lot, but this is not the platform. I would want him to share with us about legal matters. Business. We have heard about mother-in-law. You have heard about son-in-law. Business-in-law. Dato Ma, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Warren. I'm actually quite embarrassed with that introduction, but I'll accept it anyway.
Dato Ma,
Very good
there
evening,
is
everyone.
Hi,
And
Dato Ma,
welcome
there's a
to
comment.
all the participants. Good evening, Dato Dr. Teh Yong, for that very interesting introduction and the sharing of what COVID Act is about. And congratulations to PUMM for organizing this session. Little did I realize that PUMM is actually, 28 years? I knew you were around, but didn't know you have been around for so long. This topic or this theme of yours of journey of transformation, I think this is very interesting because nothing is static. We are living in a very dynamic world, and business obviously is very dynamic. And we are, in fact, talking to entrepreneurs. This is very interesting because you're not just a businessman, but you are actually an entrepreneur. And I think by definition, this would be somebody who is in business, but who is a little more knowledgeable in the field and the area of work that you are in. Dato Teh has given a very good lead up to the topic today. Thank you. And why this particular topic of business in law? As Warren was mentioning, when we were discussing this and deciding what the theme would be and what the topic would be, as usual, we wanted something catchy and easy to remember. And of course, he mentioned about brother-in-law, son-in-law, and the all-important mother-in-law. So what can be more important than business-in-law? Because if you are in the field of business and you are an entrepreneur, not only that, you are a young entrepreneur, and on top of that, a leading entrepreneur. So these are very important criteria that you will be trying to fulfill in your journey of doing business. Now, getting on to the topic itself, I once read a book called or entitled Up the Organization by a guy known as Robert Townsend. This was years and years ago, but I think what he has said in that book is applicable even to today, and I would recommend you to read it. But I think the title of the book is very interesting. Up the Organization, short of saying up yours, but he had one very important line in that book, and he says, look, if you are in business, if you're not in it for the fun of it or for the money, i.e. profit, then what are you doing in business? So maybe I can pose this question to all you young entrepreneurs. What are you in business for? For the fun of it, for the heck of it, for the love of it, because there's nothing else better to do? Or is it just to make money? Forget everything else and try to chase the golden rainbow and make as many dollars you can in your field of work. Well, my take on this is quite simple. In every field, not necessarily in business or medicine or law or in anything else, in any profession, and whether you're a school teacher or whatever you're doing, I think it's always important to have a mixture of both. Number one, you need to do something that you are passionate about, something which you enjoy, so that when you wake up in the morning, you don't drag yourself out of bed and then say, my goodness, I've got to go to office now. It's another long day. I'm not going to enjoy my day. Now, if you keep on doing that over time, I think you'll be very sorry for yourself and you're not going to enjoy what you're doing. On the other hand, if you are so passionate about making that big buck, trying to be a millionaire and before you are 35 or 40, whatever, and you lose sight of many other things in life, family life to start with, social responsibilities, what's happening in the country, human rights, and so on, then again, I think you're missing quite a bit. So let me now dive into this particular topic of business and law. And I know most people, when, as mentioned by moderator Warren, By the way, Warren, I know you are a motivational speaker, and each time I hear you, I'm duly motivated. And so I thank you for inviting me to come onto this particular session, onto this platform, and to do some sharing on the legal matters. What is it that you really need to know when you go into business? Now, if you are an employee, maybe this is not such a big consideration. Yeah, you just go and apply for a job, you get interviewed, you fulfill the criteria, you take on the job, and then it becomes a 9-to-5 job, and you know keep at it for years. You become very good at what you're doing. There's no denying that. You may be enjoying yourself, but you are not an employer. You are not an entrepreneur. So there's a little more to being just in business, and being an entrepreneur. I would say you require to have some background information to know what the outside world is all about and how does the other half get on in business. All right, so I will go to some basics, some wide-ranging issues. Please feel free to ask me questions afterwards. I hope you have enough time for Q&A. And importantly, I will end up talking about the present state of affairs in view of the COVID Act, something which Dato has correctly touched on. Now, so to start off with a business, and I'm talking about somebody who is going to be either a sole proprietor or a shareholder in a private limited company. These are the two main, or rather, and the third being a partner in a partnership. So these are the three main categories of businesses that one can start with. So if you're a sole proprietor, that the name speaks for itself, and you are all by yourself and you do from A to Z. You can be just wholly self-employed, or you can be an employer of a large number of people. That doesn't change the status of your business. Yeah, you're a sole proprietor. And as Dato mentioned, these days, not everyone is a Lone Ranger, perhaps, but just bear in mind that even Lone Ranger had a partner in Tonto. Remember, if you have watched Lone Ranger, he had a partner. So, but still, there are many people who are, sorry, it keeps moving a bit. Okay, so sorry. Being a sole proprietor, there are many people who are successful sole proprietors. And the second category would be partnership. You can start from 2 and you can keep on going up. And the maximum number is 50 persons in a partnership. And if you want to be even a little, to have a bigger platform, you might form a private limited company. In other words, a company limited by shares, and there's no limit to the number of people. And you have Sindran Bahat, right? That you probably own with true shares with many other people. Now, what's the difference between partnership, sole proprietorship, and a Sindran Bahat? Very quickly, the big difference is that if sole proprietorship and your partnership, liability is unlimited. Meaning to say, you owe money, you owe people, you run into bad debts, people can come knocking on your door and chase you for the last dollar, because you are then personally liable right up to the last dollar that you owe. Whereas if you are a shareholder in a private limited company, your liability, as the name suggests, is limited to the amount of shares that you own. Now, you may have what is known as paid up shares and the value of the shares. Now, if it is a liability, you are liable right up to the amount of the shares that you owe, including unpaid up capital. Okay, so that's very important to bear in mind. Now, to start with the business of sole proprietorship, partnership, or a private limited company, you register with the SSM. Okay. Previously, it was known as the ROB for sole proprietorship and partnership, registrar of business, and ROC, registrar of companies, for limited companies. But now it's all under the umbrella of SSM. Now, don't forget, you are not a society, right? So you do not register with the ROS, the Registrar of Societies. You are a business. So you carry on and you have your core business, you have a vision, and you carry on. And if you are lucky, you have a good break, you make money, you don't owe people money. But what if you are not so lucky and you run into debts? So I started just now with the registration. Let me take a quantum leap and go right up to the other end of the spectrum. And that is when you cannot pay your debts. Now, this is a very serious thing, because if you can't pay your debts, if you are a sole proprietor or a partnership, your liability, or rather you stand to be sued and be made a bankrupt. Okay. Bankruptcy has a threshold. Once upon a time, it was a very low threshold, was only up to 30,000 ringgit. Then they increased it to 50,000, and now it stands at 100,000 ringgit. What this means is that if you owe people more than 100,000 ringgit and you are not able to pay, once a bankruptcy notice is issued, you are deemed to be insolvent within a certain number of days, and action can be taken to make you a bankrupt. So that's a very serious situation, and because there are ramifications, once you are made a bankrupt, things like your passport will have to be impounded. You are in the hands of the official receiver. You cannot travel, and whatever job you take, you must report, and you must pay a certain amount of your salary to the official receiver towards the account of your creditors. Now, if it is a company and your company cannot pay up the debts, the threshold is very low, and that is if you owe more than 10,000 ringgit and the company doesn't pay, the company can be issued with a winding up notice. This is under Section 466 of the Companies Act. The Companies Act is 2016, and if you still don't pay within 21 days, you meaning the company, then the creditor can take an action to wind up your company. So you can see the big difference. Yeah? For bankruptcy, the threshold is 100,000 ringgit, whereas for Sdn Bhd, the threshold is very low. It's only 10,000 ringgit. Now, what happens then is you want to get into business, and you have a variety of contracts, obviously, to enter into. Let's say you are a trading company and you want to look for premises to have your showroom and so on. And again, as touched on by Dato Teh, you obviously will have to enter into a tenancy agreement with the landlord. And my advice is that please read all the terms and conditions of any agreement, not only a tenancy agreement, because at the end of the day, after you have signed it, you cannot turn around and say, oh, sorry, I did not realize what I signed, or I didn't read every page of it. The position is that, sorry, that's too bad, right? You can't deny that you have signed it and therefore fully understood it. There's the various principles in law. You can't just run away from what you have signed up for. And let's say also, or alternatively, if you are looking to buy premises for your business, yes, you have what is known as SPA. It's not a SPA, but it's a sale and purchase agreement. Again, this is very important because the terms and conditions are all in the SPA. Whether you're buying it from a developer or from another person, what is known as a subsale, the terms are there. So it's always about the price and the conditions, how much has to be paid up front, and so on. And the law has always been quite strict about this. If the parties are identified, if the subject matter is identified, and the purchase price is identified, then in law it will show that there has been a contract entered into, right? So these are the three P's, very important: price, parties, and the property itself. Now, you enter into a contract, and let's say now, and taking a bit of a jump here, you go into COVID lockdown and business is bad. You obviously do not even want to have a showroom because there's nothing to show for. Nobody is coming to the shop, and you might want to close. Then the big question is that, oh my goodness, I have signed an agreement for 3 years. Can I now, after 1 year, just break the contract? I've got to be a bit careful here. Depends on your terms and conditions, because if it's a fixed term tenancy agreement, then you are obliged to stick to the full term. So if your contract was only run a year and there's no provision for a break clause meaning a clause in the agreement that allows for any special circumstances where either party can invoke to break the contract, to terminate. In the absence of any break clause, then you are liable for all unpaid rental, even the unexpired period of 2 years. So it is quite a hefty price that you may have to pay. The other, of course, is that if you are buying a property from a developer, the usual period is 36 months for delivery of the property upon completion. And if the developer is slow or late in delivering the property, you are entitled to what is known as LAD, late liquidated agreed damages. In other words, there's a penalty that the developer will have to pay for the number of days, X number of days, based on a percentage, usually 10% of the purchase price, to be paid as compensation. And very interestingly enough, if you have been following the legal news, what used to be a calculation of 36 months from the date of the signing of the agreement, this now has been, there's a case that has been decided by the federal court, which says time starts to run from the time the deposit is taken. Yeah, it's not necessarily when the formal SPA is signed. So the moment a booking fee is paid, the federal court has held that that is already an existing contract. Yeah, provided the three P's that I mentioned just now are identified. Okay, so let me now just talk, say a few words about the court structure. I think a lot of people are aware. Of course, we have a judicial system that courts, but I think out there, lay people tend to get terms confused, tend to get a bit of uncertainty, yeah, in the things that happen in courts. So just let me very quickly run through the court structure. We have two parts to the court system: the subordinate courts and the superior courts, or the higher courts. Now, under the category of subordinate courts, we have two courts, starting with the magistrates court, and we have the sessions court. Now, magistrates court, the person who sits there is referred to as a magistrate, and he deals with both civil and criminal cases. And we talk about jurisdiction, meaning to say what kind of cases can he hear and what is the power of sentencing. So jurisdiction of a magistrate, I'm talking about first-class magistrate, is that in criminal cases, he can hear cases which are punishable up to 10 years imprisonment. But when it comes to sentencing, after he has found a person guilty, he can only impose a maximum sentence of 5 years. Yeah, 5 years plus a fine or both. And he can also order sabatan, that is strokes of the rotan, in a criminal case. Yeah? Maximum number of strokes is 12 strokes. And civil jurisdiction, the maximum that the magistrate can deal with will be 100,000 ringgit, a case up to the value of 100,000 ringgit. So what is above the sessions court? Above the magistrates court is the sessions court, And the jurisdiction, criminal jurisdiction of a sessions judge, you call him a sessions judge, his criminal jurisdiction is up to offenses which are not punishable with the death penalty. Okay, so he goes right up, other than the death penalty. And of course, with that, he can also impose sentences provided by the law with the imprisonment plus fine or both, and also with the rotan. Then we have the superior courts, starting with the High Court. Now, High Court, and when we have magistrates and sessions courts, they are all over the country. Every state will have magistrates and sessions. And in fact, now for the High Court, every state capital will have a High Court. In fact, some of them have 3-4 High Courts in the state capital. And the obvious, the jurisdiction of the High Court judge is, in a criminal case, is all offenses, including the death penalty. And in civil cases, it is above 100,000. Sorry, correction there. Did I mention just now for the Sessions Court, the civil jurisdiction is up to R1 million. Okay, and for the High Court, it will be 1,000,001 upwards, unlimited. Then we have the Court of Appeal, and as the name suggests, it hears appeals from the High Court. And the apex court in the country is the Federal Court, and it hears appeals from the Court of Appeal. Right? While we have High Court in every state, the Court of Appeal and the Federal Court are located only in Putrajaya. But they do go on circuit. They go on circuit to hear cases in KK, in Kuching. For appeals, both civil and criminal appeals from the Magistrates Court and the Sessions Court, it goes up to the High Court. And any appeal arising from those cases goes up to the Court of Appeal. And that's the maximum, because we have a two-tier system for appeals. Maximum is that you can only appeal twice. Yeah, so magistrate sessions, you appeal to the High Court to the Court of Appeal. But if it's a case that originates in the High Court, you can appeal, go up to the Court of Appeal, and from there, the case goes up to the Federal Court as the final arbiter. So I hope I have given some description of that system, and I hope I'm not confused you. But apart from going to court, please bear in mind there are alternatives, and this is where very often business people are encouraged to think about this, and hopefully you will not have a problem that takes you to the criminal court, but you may, in the course of your work, have to deal with civil claims. But apart from going to court, what is very current these days is the system of mediation. Yeah? And a quick word about this is that where two parties come together to try to settle a case, a matter is referred to a mediator. The mediator is actually a facilitator to help you look at the issues and to see how a settlement can be arrived at. Mediator, unlike a judge, cannot make a decision. Okay, it's the parties that make their own decision, and if it's successful, it becomes a settlement. Another alternative is in arbitration. A person appointed is known as an arbitrator, and this is very common for construction cases, or even in insurance, sometimes in medical cases, where the arbitrator is sitting like a private judge. He actually makes a decision at the end of a case. He hears both sides and makes a decision. And yet we have a third alternative, and that's adjudication. And this is more for the construction industry. So if you are a young entrepreneur, you end up having some sort of dispute. So think it's not just going to court always. You can always have mediation. You can have arbitration, okay, or even adjudication. Now, what about coming back to contract law, as mentioned just now by Dato Teh? the law is quite clear. Basically, there should be an offer. Somebody has to make an offer, and there must be an acceptance. And the moment, sorry, the moment there's an offer and acceptance, for consideration. In other words, there must be value. It could be a $1 value in the consideration, or money's worth, money or money's worth. Then you have a contract. So again, many people will say, "Oh, contract, but I didn't sign any document. I'm not bound." That's a big mistake, because contracts can be oral as well as written. Okay, and so don't just say, "Yeah, I agree," and so on, and you can be held liable. Okay, once a contract is formed orally. Maybe it's just like marriage, you know. The guy makes an offer, the girl accepts. What's the consideration? Marriage is a consideration. So there is a contract. And have you heard that people break the contracts and don't marry, the guy doesn't marry the woman, and actually end up in court for breach of promise to marry? There is such a law on that. So think very carefully. Yeah. So it's not only business that can get you into trouble, getting married can get you into trouble as well. Okay, so when you have a business.
Sorry, Dato, if I may just interrupt a little bit. Very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on FB Live here. It's called Journey of Transformation. We are talking about something very interesting, business in law, legal rights for young entrepreneurs here, getting to know what are your legal rights. We have got Dato Ma here talking about it. Thank you so much, Dato. We have got questions coming in. Please continue posting all those questions. But I've got this question, Dato, if I may. The state of emergency declared just to tackle the pandemic. It says that the king has got the emergency power, or rather, the king have approved the emergency powers to the Prime Minister's administration, yeah, to order, like, for instance, if you want to take over, I'm using a layman's term, yeah, to take over private hospitals, they can just summon, and then the private hospitals have to open it up. I'm just thinking, for us entrepreneurs, what's the case? Can they summon, if we have got a training facility probably, can they summon us to make use of that premises? Share with us.
Sure. The proclamation of emergency was proclaimed by the king, and this was obviously on the advice of the Prime Minister. This was done under Article 150 of the Federal Constitution, and this came into force, if not mistaken, on the 11th of January, 11th of this month. And there is a sunset clause. It doesn't go on forever. Hopefully it won't. And the last date is the 1st of August of this year. It will be lifted due upon effluxion of time, meaning to say when we reach the 1st of August and if it's not extended, then the emergency ends, or it can be revoked at an earlier time, again on a proclamation by the king. Now, following the proclamation, which allows the enactment of ordinances, and this was done, known as the EO, Emergency Ordinance of 2021, and this came into force, I think, on the 12th of January, and this is now in force, and this is what we are subject to. Now, the big impact of the proclamation and the EO is obviously the suspension of Parliament, meaning to say there are no parliamentary sittings, or legal language is known as the Parliament has been prorogued. And this will go on until the emergency is lifted. But for businesses, I think the big impact, as what you have mentioned, is about forcible takeovers of property, premises, movable, immovable. You can refer to, can include cars and so on. Now, this is quite different from acquisition. We have the Land Acquisition Act of 1960, which gives the power to the authorities, the state authority, to acquire land and property, and subject to payment of compensation. And this compensation is subject to, it's not arbitrary, it is subject to the law, and you have valuers to evaluate, and there's always a big dispute between government valuers and private valuers. And if you're not happy with it, although you can't go to court and appeal against the quantum of compensation, you most certainly can go to court and object on the principle as to why your property was acquired. But under under the EO, the authority has the power to take over your assets if they want to, because they feel that your house is very nice and serves a particular purpose. No grounds need to be given. It cannot be challenged. And whatever compensation they give you, your entitled compensation is according to their discretion, and it's final. It cannot be challenged in court. Okay, so there's a very big difference there. The other, of course, is that the army, the armed forces, they have now been given powers of the police officers, powers which are exercisable under the CPC, Criminal Procedure Code. Now, this is now exercisable by the military as well. That's why at any roadblock, you will often see military, armed personnel together with the police. Okay. The other, of course, is that we were mentioning about hospitals. Yes, because you see, one must understand that the imposition of the proclamation, and with it the EO. EO is the ordinance, the enactment that provides the law under the proclamation. So the idea of this EO is actually to fight the COVID. That's what we are told. So the ostensible reason for the proclamation is to fight COVID. And so we are told that the public hospitals, government hospitals are full, and the system is near breaking point. So they do have this power to actually forcibly get the private hospitals to give up a certain number of beds. And I'm not mistaken, as I speak, I think now the percentage is 10%. 10% of hospital beds. So you have a hospital of 500 beds, 50 has to be set aside for the treatment of COVID patients. You have no choice. So like Asunta, I'm a director in Asunta. We are now, of course, we have already done that, isolated wards, set aside wards, especially for the treatment of COVID patients. Previously, if there was one coming to the private hospital, that person would be referred to a Sungai Buloh or some other government hospital. So that's a major difference. But with that also comes a lot of other issues that arise from this, and that is the treatment of the patient itself. What happens if it goes wrong? Who's going to be held liable? Don't forget, the specialists are all in the government hospitals treating COVID. Private hospitals may not have that kind of manpower and expertise. So things may go wrong. So whatever. But then, okay, having said all that, a lot of people are, of course, saying, hey, look, the proclamation of emergency, the ostensible reason is to fight COVID, but there may be some collateral purpose to that. Well, it's your guess, is as good as mine. I don't think I want to venture and speculate on that. So does that answer the question on the COVID and so on?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have got a couple more questions coming in, Dato, but we have got only 5 minutes. If I may, can we extend just another 10 minutes or so, if that's okay with you, Dato, both the Datos, and also, you go ahead, Dato.
Yes. Sorry, before I answer more questions, Waran, can I just finish what I prepared to?
Yes, please go ahead. Can I just make this announcement, please? Make sure tune in. Yeah, we have got another 10 minutes that we will extend because Dato Ma has got a lot more to share. We have got a lot more questions coming in, interesting ones, beneficial for you all. Dato, over to you.
Thank you. So I was talking earlier on about assets, properties, and cars, and so on. And let's say you are a business, you own some vehicles. You must know what happens when the vehicles are involved in an accident, for example. Yeah, be prepared for that, because let's say your employee is driving a car, and he meets an accident. Somebody is seriously injured. Now you can't just say, I'm not the driver, or I was not the driver, and I'm not liable. Because if the driver was driving on your authority in the course of work, you are liable under principle of vicarious liability. Okay, so the driver and the owner are liable, and that's why it's very important that business people do get themselves insured. It's better to be a little over-insured than under-insured, because when anything happens, you will have the insurance to fall back on. Not that I'm trying to sell you any insurance policy, but I think it's important to be well prepared. Okay, so also not just in case of an accident, but vicariously liable, a worker does something wrong, something negligent, you can be held responsible. Or the company, if it's a company, Sdn Bhd can be held responsible as well. Now, it's important to know about the rights of employees, and I'll touch on this very quickly, because as an employee, you are liable not only to pay a salary, and mind you, there is a minimum salary to be paid per month. You also liable to pay SOCSO and to pay EPF. Okay, this is important because there are thresholds to meet, and for SOCSO, which stands for the Employees Social Security Act of 1969, contributions must be paid before the 15th of each month. And for persons, in respect of persons below 60 years of age, there are two different categories: employment injury scheme, as well as the invalidity scheme. An employer has to pay 1.75% of the salary, and the employee pays 0.5% of the salary. As for EPF, which stands for the Employees Provident Fund Act of 1991, if you are an employee below 60 years old and you're earning a salary below 5,000, the employer has to pay 13% of your salary, and the employee has to pay 9%. And if that employee earns more than 5,000, the employer pays 12%, and the employee pays 9%. Now, any breach of these payments are offenses under the SOCSO Act and under the EPF Act, and employers will be pulled up to court. Now, insofar as workers' rights and employees' rights, don't forget your recourse is to the industrial court. Let's say you have been dismissed and you claim it is a wrongful dismissal, no cause, no grounds. You can most certainly report that dismissal and to the Ministry of Human Resources, and if the minister agrees, the matter will be referred to the industrial court. And you have a decision made by the industrial court chairman. If you're not happy with that, you can go on a judicial review to the High Court. But again, having said that, there is now a change, and I'm not sure whether it's come into force, which means which says that if you're not happy with the decision of the chairman of the industrial court, you can actually appeal to the High Court. And there's a difference between judicial review and the appeal procedure, but I think it is a little too detailed. I don't think I want to go into that. Last but not least, I want to touch on business and human rights. As Moderator Waran has said, I am a commissioner with SUHAKAM, which stands for the Human Rights Institution of Malaysia. And while you are doing business, please don't forget that there are rights and liabilities as well. And there is this big topic now on business and human rights. And as I speak, the Bahagian Hal Ehwal Undang-Undang is under the Ministry of Law, the de facto Ministry of Law. They are coming up with an action plan known as the National Action Plan for Business and Human Rights. And this action plan is to be a benchmark and to set out the parameters of the do's and don'ts of business and the law, right? So something to look out for. And it covers things like business and human rights. It covers cases of forced labor. Now, you have heard about modern slavery. I don't quite like the phrase because that may be too, the connotations are too sensational and too emotive. But I think forced labor is definitely a current issue. Here, what it means is that while you get workers, and mainly these are migrant workers, both documented and undocumented migrant workers, they come over here from Nepal, Myanmar, Thailand, wherever. And Malaysia is always a receiving country for foreign labor. They come here, they obviously have a job given by the employer, and they're given a salary. But life is not so simple because the agents who brought them in will be squeezing the workers for their pound of flesh to get their fees, the agency fees, and the employer will hold back sums of money for deduction. They will hold a passport, and living conditions, accommodation conditions are not good. Hygiene is not good. That's why you hear about these clusters, clusters of outbreak of COVID in dormitories and work areas because of poor hygiene. So these are all different aspects of forced labor. So if you are an employer and have many people working under you, please bear in mind they have rights. They are here just to earn a living. Please don't exploit them. And think about the consequences of forced labor. Because if you are a producer of goods and you export those goods, and the moment the importer finds that you have got these products produced with forced labor, and worse still with child labor, they are going to return the consignment of goods. So it's not good for your business. Penny wise, pound foolish. Yeah, you think you can make a quick buck fast, but if you are caught out, then the people will, your consignments will be returned. So be very careful about that. It's all about fairness. It's about social rights, cultural rights, and economic rights. Yeah, so these are how to strike a balance when you are in your business. So perhaps I can end on that note, that you are in business either for the fun of it, as I started, for the heck of it, for the love of it, or for the money. But don't forget, try to have a good balance so that you can enjoy what you're doing and make a decent living. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Warren.
Thank you so much, Dato. It's all about passion, yeah. So I've got a lot of questions, Dato, but I would want to do justice to these two people. Yeah. Richard Teh has got this question. Now I'm going to pose to you, Dato, two questions in one go for the benefit of time. Yeah. Richard Teh asked this question: how law firm should reposition in order to sustain in these trying times? That's one. Then you have got Alan Kwai. Ricky Tan. Ricky Tan asked this question: do you think legal practice is affected by COVID? Can legal business go on? Dato,
right.
Over to you.
Okay, I'm so glad you used the phrase legal practice because, and I'm sure Dato Teh will agree with me, it is a practice. It is not a business. Yeah, lawyers don't run a business. Hopefully they don't, because that would be really contrary to a lot of the ethics that apply to the profession. So it's actually a practice, a professional practice. And let's say now you have law firms with 10 employees and you are hard hit by COVID. So again, you if you are a sole proprietor with nobody else there, well, you only got to look at yourself, and whatever dollar you earn is yours. You have partners, obviously, you have to talk about it with your partner and decide how much the profit is going to be and so on. Take home, how much you take home and so on. But if you are either sole prop or a partnership with the 10 legal assistants. Yeah, that's what the young lawyers are known as, legal assistants or legal associates. They would have come with a written contract. I would think it is very unusual now to have any law firm employ legal assistants without written contracts. So the contract spells out either for a fixed term or for an indefinite term, but the conditions on salary and so on are all laid out. So if you have a case that because of COVID, the firm is not doing so well, you can't just say, look, I'm going to close shop, and or rather, I'm just going to deduct your salary and arbitrarily without agreement from the legal associate. So it has to be a two-way thing. You have to get the consent, and you have to show that any reduction is reasonable and for good grounds. And as I say, it has to be with the consent. Now, the other point, of course, is that many law firms are doing this, and that is they have people working from home and all working a shorter number of hours, right? And therefore, comparatively, there will be a reduction in salary. So if you put these various plans to the staff, and not just to the lawyers, but to the general staff as well, I'm sure everybody will be thinking about it, because really, if it comes to such a bad state that a firm cannot carry on and has to shut down, then everybody suffers. But I like to raise this point of force majeure, which Dato Teh mentioned. Now, in most contracts, if it's a simple contract, the principle of force majeure is not included. But if it is there, what it means is that this is something that has happened, which is so unforeseeable that the contract can be terminated and the employer, in this case, cannot be held liable. I don't think there are any force majeure clauses in the employment contracts of lawyers. I've not seen one myself. So if you don't have it provided as a term of the contract, you have to rely on common law. And in common law, the principle of frustration applies. Let me give you an example. You and I have a contract to buy a cow. You sell me a cow, I buy a cow. And on the way, when the cow is being delivered to me, the cow dies. Okay? And then the question is, yeah, we already have a contract. You know, remember the 3 Ps, parties, price, and the property identified. But the cow is dead, you know, and how are we going to perform this contract? So in a case like that, when the contract is frustrated, then it has to be set aside, and there should be reasonable compensation. But when it comes to legal employment contracts, as I say, look, the principle of frustration will only really apply when things are so bad that the firm has to close down, and the contract of employment of the lawyer is frustrated in a sense that it cannot be performed. There's no more firm, there's no more legal firm for him to go to, it's closed. So yeah, then that contract comes to an end. You can apply that principle as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dato. It's interesting how I can't stop laughing when you give an example about the cow, yeah? So, ladies and gentlemen, Dato Ma and cow has got something to do, yeah? I let it be in suspense, yeah, Dato?
Well, this is the year of the cow.
Yeah, indeed, it is the year.
I own 2 cows, Warren. I own 2 cows.
Exactly. That's the point that I wanted to make. So Dato Ma has got 2 cows that he owns, yeah. He nurtures them, he cares for them. It's very nice to see when he posts pictures about him with the 2 lovely cows. So yeah, get to know
goats. And 20
Sorry?
goats.
20 goats. There you go.
20 goats.
Warren, I do this as a hobby. It's non-commercial. Yes. And this is something maybe I should touch on. And I think for all entrepreneurs, please have a hobby quite apart from your mainstream work. It can be simple hobbies like the old-fashioned collection of stamps and coins. People don't do that anymore, or reading books or going to the movies and so on. But my hobby is to run a small hobby farm.
Yeah, I know. So you need to, if it is possible, go to his farm, lovely place, and you will get that calmness that you want. So Dato, once again, I have got no words to say, but thank you so much for being here. Dato Teh, you want to thank Dato Ma and say a few words before we end?
Yeah, I've personally liked this sharing by Dato Ma. Besides economic reasons, I think entrepreneurs should also think about the social rights, the cultural rights of the employees. I think this is an important message that he shares, and I think we as entrepreneurs should also learn from this kind of wise words, because the employees, although they are maybe they are foreigners, but I think their rights are also equally important as well, and that will also have direct impact on the bottom line of the companies. Right. Thank you again to Dato Ma. It's a pleasure to be sharing the same stage with you. Thank you, and I pass it back to you, Waran.
So Dato Dr. Teh, thank you so much for being here. I know this time is very precious, but you mean a lot for all of us. Dato Ma, again, thank you so much. Your sharing is definitely beneficial. You have got plenty of people. I just wanted to let you know, I think Dato Teh also wanted to say this at the first initial statement. The first word that came when you came in is handsome times 9,999. So I've got nothing to say, Dato Ma. So you should not be embarrassed by that. Yeah. So Dato, it is
how many participants do we have, Waran?
At present, yeah, good question. Eric, would you be able to let me know in your chat how many do we have? Oh, we have got close to 20 live, and it's going further up. But we have got a lot of people tuning in from different parts of the world. We have got someone from Romania also, Dato, listening to you. So it's interesting. Can you imagine how important your sharing is? So yeah, hey to the Romanians, hello there.
Dato, I have someone whom I personally know tuning from Spain as well.
There you go.
Yeah, so different parts of the world.
Yeah. So Dato, thank you so much. It is 13 minutes past 9. Once again, gentlemen, thank you so much. All those who are tuning in, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having all of you all here. Journey of Transformation is from PUMM Negeri Sembilan. I was your moderator, Waran, signing off. Thank you so much, gentlemen, ladies. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our PUMM member gathering and business teaching night.
新创楷模是我们值得表扬、值得肯定的 role model，是我们每一个 PUMM member 要跟他们学习的一个榜样。